Another year, another disappointing COD. At least that's what we thought. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Crash, and I'm really excited to get into this review on the newest Call of Duty, because honestly, it is that great. It is so much better than what I thought it was going to be. I'm really happy with the modes that came out, like multiplayer, zombies, and campaign all feel just right, and I can't wait to talk a little bit more about it. I honestly wasn't having that big of expectations compared to what we've been getting prior to this, like Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2. Cold War was outright, Vanguard was terrible. Honestly, COD was on a downward spiral, and this game honestly gives me hope for the future of the franchise. And let's get into that right now. So the first thing I want to talk about is the zombies. Usually I talk about campaign first, but personally I just want to get into my favorite mode first. How is the zombies? Honestly, it is amazing. The first two maps that the game started out with is Liberty Falls and Terminus. We'll talk about Liberty Falls first. Liberty Falls is more like a little small town, and it's a lot more bright and cheery compared to the other one. And it really is kind of odd to have like a more cheery vibe when it comes to zombie maps, but it honestly fits so well. Weirdly enough, it ended up being my favorite map that was in this game so far. Terminus is okay, don't get me wrong, but this one just has a lot of charm to it. Is it like special in any way, shape, or form? Like, no, it feels kind of like Cold War in the sense, but I honestly was fine with the Cold War zombies. It does feel a bit better than what Cold War was, though. Like, I think the biggest issue most people had with Cold War is like the difficulty, but this game honestly has a lot more difficulty compared to it. Like, compared to what Cold War gave you as a challenge, there's a lot more here, at least. The things that they added back in this one is where you could start out with whatever weapon you want, whatever field upgrade you want, tactical and lethal. Those are all staples that came back from Cold War, which honestly feel all right. I know some people wouldn't be happy with being able to start with a certain starter weapon, but it's honestly pretty fun for the camo grind. And honestly, the camo grind is one of the best parts of zombies now, because, you know, it gives you an incentive to go back in and try different weapons and stuff like that. But the biggest thing that they added with this whole feature is the Gobblegum packs. Now you can get Gobblegums again. It doesn't feel as special as it used to. I understand most people's biggest gripes will probably be, where did Liquid Divinium go? It kind of sucks that they removed it, but at the same time, I like the fast pace of it, of like, oh, you did this challenge, or you got into this round, here's some Gobblegums, and they just throw it into your inventory. It's not as gambly as it used to be in Black Ops 3, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, I'm kind of happy that they made it kind of normal so that people aren't incentivized to go and buy something so that they can get Liquid Divinium or Gobblegums over other people, which I'm completely fine with. The other thing that they added was augments, and honestly, augments are kind of cool. It's pretty much just the field upgrades that you could get in Cold War, but just a little bit more complicated compared to it. You can only choose certain augments that go on your thing instead of like you being able to have every single one. And I think that's another issue Cold War had, is it made it way too easy as long as you got every augment onto your like perks and all that. While with this one, they're like, you only can choose two, and that's up to you which ones you think are important for that map that you're going to play on, which I honestly like. It adds challenge to it instead of just like making everything stupid easy as long as you just keep grinding. But let's get back onto the maps. Liberty Falls has honestly a great Easter egg. I played through both Easter eggs by myself. Liberty Falls has a somewhat interesting one with a scientist that you're trying to help, and pretty much I'm not going to spoil it, but it is honestly a great time. There's so many new Easter eggs with these maps. The perks that came back are all generic ones that we've seen in old ones, except the Macchiato one. That one's a melee one, and honestly it's pretty cool. I wasn't expecting to like that one, but it's pretty fun. But aside from the main Easter egg and all those little special Easter eggs, does the map at least feel good? At least with Liberty Falls, yes. Everything about the map I really enjoyed. It's small, it's fast paced, and you can get around the map and understand the map pretty quick. It's pretty easy to get the Easter egg weapon and stuff like that. I also like because sometimes overcomplicating stuff like that isn't all too fun. But how about Terminus? Is that one any good? I would say yes. Honestly, if you are looking for a good time, both maps can honestly fit that. I think the issue with Terminus though is the whole boat thing where you can leave the main island and you can ride around on a boat to different islands to go check them out. Personally, I don't think that's fun. I think it's kind of boring and it kind of sucked when it played into the Easter egg, but aside from that, it was a really good map as well. They give you like a unique feel and flavor to the maps. Also, they have like unique enemies to their maps, like the amalgamation is only on Terminus, and so are the parasites, while the other map has the spider-looking dudes and the abomination. It's pretty cool to see like these different enemy varieties on each map. And I'm really happy to see that. The only biggest gripe I have with like the zombie mode so far is just like how challenging it can get really fast. Not that like the normal zombies are challenging. It's more just like the boss enemy spam. Like you'll get like 20 to 30 of them sometimes, like on later date rounds. Like when I got to round 54 on the one time, it just felt like there was too many boss enemies that I was fighting and not really much zombie control. Was kind of sucks, but aside from that gripe, I honestly think the mode has really advanced itself from what it used to be. Like these new augments and all that, you being able to choose your weapon and stuff, I understand people didn't like that from Cold War. It just feels right now. It's same with like the wonder weapons that they added. They put a lot of time and effort into them. The jet gun is awesome, and so is the other one that slows them down and is a laser. It's all right, and I'm happy that they put so much effort into zombies now. And plus, the best thing about it, it's round-based. I don't understand why they removed that for so long and they were trying to do something completely different with zombies, but I'm happy they finally found out maybe we should just stick with round-based. And if you really enjoyed the mode, lucky to you, Season 1 has already announced that we're going to be getting another map, which is another thing I really am excited to talk about later in this review, is like how much content this game is filled with. The last little thing I want to throw into zombies is the challenges. There's a SAM trials that they added, and it's just like Cold War, and it's honestly pretty damn good. Compared to what it used to be in Cold War, I honestly would skip out and never do those, but in this game, it's kind of like a must-have, and you have to do these challenges. Like, you don't technically have to, but they just are so fun, and they actually are unique compared to what they were in Cold War. And honestly, I don't see how this game would play without them, just because I think the salvage and stuff is way too hard to get. But with these challenges that you have, they give you so much salvage, so much essence and stuff like that, and it just makes the mode 10 times more fun, and it gives you a little bit more of a flavor to the mode. Instead of you just killing zombies each and every wave, now they're like, oh, can you hold this position, can you melee this many zombies, or can you get this many headshots, stuff like that. And I really am happy they added stuff like this to add some flavor to the mode instead of just having the generic wave based. It at least has some type of variety for the people that don't just want to play a wave-based mode, and that's great for everyone, at least in my opinion. But let's get into the next mode, multiplayer. So how is multiplayer? Honestly, it's fun. I don't understand how they've just somehow hit the nail on each and every mode this time around. Multiplayer is honestly just feels 10 times better than what it used to. I did get into MW3 for a bit just because of how fun the Black Ops 6 beta was, and I was a little bit worried about how the game would be when it first came out, but honestly, Black Ops 6 multiplayer feels just as great as the beta did. The modes are TDM, Kill Order, Domination, Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, Control, Headquarters, Kill Confirm, Free For All, and Face Off. It's not that many modes compared to what we used to get, which kind of sucks, but they've already announced that they're going to be adding more modes, which is awesome. The main ones that I usually play are Kill Order, Domination, and Hardpoint. Usually, these are my staple ones. Kill Order is the newest mode that they made, and that's where you have to protect the VIP while trying to take out their VIP. I know it's called HVT instead, but I just call them VIPs, whatever. But that is their newest mode, and honestly, if you haven't tried out the mode, it's actually worth trying out. It's really fun, and it gives a reason for players to move around the map and kill each other, which is why I like Domination and Hardpoint as well, just because it gives people incentive to move around the map instead of sitting in a corner the whole time. But how does the multiplayer feel? Right now, in my opinion, it's very sweaty. Very, very sweaty. I understand it's just because Warzone, the new map and stuff haven't come out, so we are dealing with the sweat fest that is coming from Warzone and all the newest players that play these games for 2 months and then they completely disappear after they sweated it out. It's like we are dealing with the problem phase of Call of Duty. Usually around when it first comes out, usually you will have the most annoying players to play against. You also have the most cheaters, etc. Like usually around this time, this is where I would say to stay away from the multiplayer. But how does it actually feel this time around? It's just as bad. It's very sweaty. If you're not looking for a sweat fest, I would just wait it out for a bit. I've been playing a decent amount of multiplayer. I have decent time on most of the matches that I do play, but there's also those lobbies that you get into that are absolutely unfun, and it just feels like they are completely not supposed to be in your skill bracket. And no, I don't blame SBMM. I think it's just because of how sweaty the players are right now. I know most people would blame it on SBMM, but even my first couple matches that I played, even before they could even find out what type of player I am, I was already getting sweat lobbies, and that's just how Call of Duty is. I understand some people will blame it on SBMM. No matter what, it's always that SBMM's fault, but I just feel like it doesn't play as big of a role as people say it does. I think it is kind of adds to the challenge, but at the same time, I think Call of Duty has always been this way, where you have a couple good matches, you have some god-awful matches after. But how did the guns and stuff feel in these, in multiplayer at least? Every gun at least feels like they have some type of stay, except snipers and shotguns. They seem to not be that fun to play with or play against. Most of the time with sniper players, they're usually sitting in a corner doing nothing. The snipers are a bit slow, so I never had interest in even trying them. But yeah, they just feel like these two categories aren't really made for multiplayer. It's mostly just SMG spam. You'll see people using the Tanto nonstop. I thought the Jackal was bad, but my god, now that this weapon's in this game, expect to see it 50 times over. And it's not like in a good way of like, there's some fun to it, but no, it's just kind of an annoyance with SMG spam. Assault rifles at least are getting somewhat of a use, but most of the time it's only SMG players you'll see, which kind of sucks. I understand that they did some nerfs on some of these weapons, but they still feel like it's just pushing for that one category, which really sucks. But aside from the weapons, the other things that they added are the perk system, which is pretty much all the same generic perks that we had in the old ones. But the most unique thing that they added was wild cards, but it doesn't really add much to the game either. Like one is called Tactical Expert. It gives you an extra tacticals, and Overkill, you know what that does. That gives you another primary weapon, stuff like that. Most of the wild cards, perks, and all that are kind of the same thing that we've seen in prior games, so don't expect anything crazy. Same with field upgrades, like throwing down like an assault pack where you can grab ammo and stuff. It's just a run-of-the-mill stuff that we've seen in prior Call of Duty, so don't expect anything special from them. That's why I don't really get into that type of stuff, just because usually it's the same stuff. But how about the maps? Are the maps at least fun? I would say yes and no. It depends on what maps you get. In my personal opinion, all the really tiny maps are usually not that fun. Stako is okay, so is Nuketown, but like maps like Babylon have completely ruined the idea of like small maps, and that's for one reason alone. It feels like these maps are so tiny to the point where they don't know where to spawn you, and the spawn rates are absolutely fucking atrocious. Sometimes you will spawn on top of a fucking enemy and get mowed down immediately just because of how bad the spawns are. Mostly if you're playing like Domination, my god, do not play Domination on these types of maps because you are not going to move out of spawn. You are stuck in that spawn. I did so much spawn killing on accident on Nuketown just because the game did not understand that they need to switch sides. And it's really frustrating in that sense because at some point in time, the game has to understand that I've died 15 times in this one spawn. Switch me to the other side so I can take their flag. They are punishing you because the game does not understand how to switch spawns, which really sucks. And sometimes their idea of a better spawn is just throwing you in the middle of the map so you die immediately to whoever's camping in the middle, which is kind of funny, but also really frustrating. I'm not sure why the game is like this, but it feels like Black Ops 1 when that was a thing. Most of the time on Nuketown, where if someone sat in each and every spawn location, they would have like an infinite kill spree happening because they can just kill you right off the rip. But aside from the spawns, the maps are somewhat fun, depending on which ones you get. There is some really bad ones, which really sucks because I really wanted to enjoy every map, and certain maps I still have legit not seen in multiplayer. I don't know what's with like the spawn, picking up the maps. Sometimes you genuinely will not see a map for like 3 to 4 hours before you get it again. I don't understand how it's picking which maps to play. I don't know if it picks by which ones they think people will have the most fun with. And if it is like that, please do not do that because it's really annoying just seeing the same maps every 5 seconds. Like this Subsonic one, the one where you fight in a hangar bay, I didn't see that for the first week of playing the game. I didn't even know that was a map. Same with the mansion one. I didn't see that until more than a week after. That was the first time I seen it. I was like, oh, what's this map? This map looks pretty cool. And I was like, oh, it's the one from the campaign. It shouldn't happen like that. You should be able to see these types of maps, but sometimes the game just doesn't want to show you them for some reason. So you end up just getting the same ones over and over again. But aside from the maps and like the spawn issues and all that, the multiplayer is pretty fun. It's, you know, your generic COD, just with the new movement called the Omni movement. The Omni movement can be kind of annoying depending on what type of players you get. Either you're going to get the biggest sweat fest or you're going to have a decent time, depending on how you are as a player. Just try to keep your KD low for now, just so you don't have to deal with like the worst matches you've ever seen. Because the one time I got like a 5.0 on like one match, and just telling you right after that, I had the most god-awful matchmaking because they thought I was a god at the game, and I was like, no, I'm not. I just had one good match. Do not kill your KD just because you want to sweat out a little bit. You might just want to slow your roll a little bit, which kind of sucks because you shouldn't get punished for being good, but that's just how it is nowadays. But that's pretty much going to wrap up my thoughts on multiplayer. Is it worth playing? Yes, I would say so, but I would just give it some time before jumping into it because, you know, like I said, we're going to be dealing with some sweats until the 14th, which is tomorrow for me. So good luck to all those Warzone players. You're going to be dealing with the biggest shit show of people that are going to be sweating it out. All right, but let's get into the last mode here, the campaign. I'm going to have a little bit of spoilers here, but let's just say how I feel right now real quick so you know like if it was good or not. It is amazing. They hit all three in such a perfect way, and I'm so happy that Call of Duty feels like it's back to what it used to be. So what makes this campaign so special? Honestly, almost everything. We're going to talk about like the simple stuff real quick before we get into it. There is like this new thing where there's like a briefing area that you go to after every single level. And what makes it so special about this area is that there's upgrades that you can buy like with this currency that you collect throughout playing levels. And honestly, it's such a small feature, but it makes it have replay value to the levels. Like these upgrades that you can buy make it easier to go through the levels and adds to the experience. Same with like it gives you better weapon attachment, stuff like that. It's, better ammo that you can have, better health, stuff like that. It's like the tiny little things that you wouldn't expect to be fun that they have in the campaign. And honestly, it's worth checking out. Like that type of stuff is really cool. But one of my favorite features, though, before we get into like the campaign, is there's secrets on every single level, and these secrets give you like money towards these upgrades. And the main briefing area has one major one, and that was so fun trying to figure out. And like after figuring it out, I felt big brain, even though I'm pretty goddamn stupid. But it was just so cool to do stuff like that. It's the same thing with the other levels. They all have different secret safes that you can collect money from, and it adds some replay value to the levels if you miss them, so you can go and collect them. The only other thing that they added throughout this campaign is challenges, which give you calling cards and shit. And oh my gosh, right when I found out about that, I collected every single one. So I have every single one from Dark Ops to just normal, which is really entertaining. I wasn't expecting this type of stuff, and I'm really happy that they threw it in. But how about the levels? Are the levels any good? Honestly, they're pretty damn great. There is a couple that I don't like, and I'll go over those right now. The ones I really didn't have that much enjoyment to are the ones when you're playing in the main antagonist's head. So here's the spoiler. It is Haro. When you're going through her head and doing those levels, I honestly did not have fun with them. They made me want to bash my head in. I didn't really like the one from Cold War where you went through the other dude's head. These types of levels just aren't truly entertaining to me, at least in my opinion. And I felt like this one expanded on that for way too long. I think it was like 4 levels in one, and it's just like, okay, I don't care about this that much to the point where I need 4 levels to it. And the only other level I did not like was Hunting Season. That one is MW3 all over again, where it's like an open world map. You run around and you shoot some enemies and you take the objective. At least they did it a little bit better in this one. They had some small scale fighting throughout it, and plus there's like an incentive to go around in this open world map to help you in a later date fights by giving you like explosives and stuff like that. That is one thing I did really like, and I'm happy they added something like that to make the mode feel a little bit more fleshed out. But how about the rest of the levels? They're amazing. Some of the highlight ones I would say are Blood Feud. That one's more of like a stealth-centric one that you run through. Most Wanted, it feels like a Hitman level. And the last one I would say is maybe Cradle. That one's really cool. You fight through... what's his name? I forgot his name, but you fight through one of his mansions, which is really cool. I wasn't expecting to go through Saddam Hussein's mansion, like, and finding like warheads and stuff like in there. It was really cool. You wouldn't expect it, and it's really entertaining stuff. And I'm happy that they have like absurdity, but also realistic shit go on like throughout the campaign, which really adds some flavor to Call of Duty again, and I'm really happy they were able to do these all really well. I don't really want to get too many spoilers into this though, so I'm probably going to wrap it up here, but I'll give you my final thoughts on like what I thought about the campaign. Honestly, if you haven't played the campaign, even with some of these spoilers, I would still say to go check it out. It's really worth your time. Most of the time, there are certain levels that will give you different branching paths that you get to decide. The combat-centric levels are honestly feel so much more flavorful than they have the last couple of years. It's kind of weird because most of the time it feels like I'm playing like one of the old Call of Duties, like MW2 back in the day and stuff like that, and they just feel just right. And they have so much flavor to like the dialogue and stuff. I guess that's the only other major thing that they decided to add is there's a lot of dialogue. I mean, a lot. Like, you get to learn about every single character if you really want to. You can skip out on that type of stuff, but they also have that for people that want to know about the world, about these characters and stuff like that. I'm really happy they added stuff like that. But yeah, honestly, if you haven't played the campaign, I would go and check this out first before you even get into the zombies or the multiplayer, just because it adds so much context to the characters and have really interesting levels. The only other thing I would just throw in is that there's some cool nostalgia hits that they have, like on the map Emergence. That one has like some of the music from old zombie maps, which is, oh my gosh, it's so awesome to see stuff like that come back. But aside from that, everything was really fun, and you need to go check it out. But overall, how was the game? Honestly, I would say if you haven't picked it up, go and pick it up. Call of Duty, for once, actually deserves this type of like treatment where everyone goes and tries it out, just because it was honestly that good. For a shooter franchise that's kind of taken a whole bunch of steps back, finally having those step forwards, like you can feel it. Like it's that good. Like I wasn't expecting Call of Duty to feel as great as it did this year. I wasn't expecting them to make every single mode feel like there's something to it. And the last big thing is the amount of content they're adding. Like they already have so much content in the game, and they already announced in season 1 we're getting like 6 new maps, a whole bunch of new weapons, a new zombie map, and new modes to multiplayer. That is completely insane, and I'm so ready for it, and I'm so excited to see where they're going in the future. But yeah, that's probably going to wrap it up for me, guys. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure to leave a like and a sub. And if you guys don't agree, make sure to leave it down in the comments down below so we can have some discourse. I think that's just part of the fun of making these types of videos, is having the conversations after. And if you do agree, just let me know down in the comments down below. Or like I said, if you don't, just let me know why you don't and why you didn't like the campaign, multiplayer, zombies, etc. Whatever. But I hope to see you guys next time. See ya.